Orko Origin Explored. Orko is one of the most beloved characters in the Masters of the Universe franchise. He is a sorcerer and a loyal friend to He-Man or Prince Adam, Cringer, Man-at-Arms, the Sorceress and Teela. Even though Orko is primarily portrayed as a comic relief character, he is a lot more than that. He is prone to magical mishaps, but that is only because he lost his amulet in Eternia while trying to save the lives of Prince Adam and Cringer. The Sorcerer has been a part of several spin-offs of the original 1983 He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series, and as such, his story has often been retold and expanded upon. In today's video, we will go over the various series Orko has been a part of. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Orko backstory explored. Like many other cartoon characters, Orko's origin stems not from the animated series itself, but from comics. The character made his first appearance on December 1st, 1982 in MOTU Bible, but he did so under the name of Gorpo. Gorpo was a fun-sized alien from another dimension who had made a second home for himself at the royal palace of Eternia. He never walked and instead floated a few feet above the air. He was presented as the fool or the jester who would entertain the king and the queen with his wittiness and magical tricks. Unfortunately for him, calling his magic a hit or miss phenomenon would be an exaggeration. His tricks were generally a miss and ended up causing a lot more chaos than necessary. He was one of the 3 people to know of Prince Adam's superhero personality. That is, He-Man. His description as Gorpo is evidently very similar to that of Orko's in the animated series. So, when the character of Orko made his debut in the He-Man series, fans were quick to spot Orko as the character who used to go by the name Gorpo. In the Filmation He-Man cartoon, Orko was voiced by Lou Scheimer, who was one of the founders of Filmation. The wizard retained his position as the resident jester of the palace, who was also treated like a child by his peers. This was probably done to create and popularize a relatable character for kids, as Orko was often asked to do his chores or clean his room, things that kids are normally made to do. However, he was far from being a one-dimensional comic relief, as he played a monumental part in He-Man's fights. In fact, he used his magical powers to go against the villains, mainly Skeletor and his evil forces. But just like his comic counterpart, the Orko from the animation series often failed at executing his magical spells in the intended way. Spells went wrong, and his childish nature made matters worse. That did not mean that Orko was not a good wizard, however. Orko's powers were really fantastic and efficient in his home dimension, but they almost always faltered in He-Man's world of Eternia. Orko comes from an extra-dimensional world known as Trolla. This world is completely magical and timeless. In fact, laws of physics work in reverse here. For example, when He-Man had come to Trolla, his fire rays shot water instead of fire. The trees grew upside down, and throughout the palace, Orko was renowned for his powerful magic. The Trollan folk, like Orko, did not walk. They would float several feet above the air and had fun-sized humanoid bodies. Their attire was similar to that of Orko as well, in the sense that they all hid their faces behind robes, hats and scarves. On the off chance that a Trollan did show his face, we never really got to see it, even though it was a part of the storyline. This was because the Trollan customs prohibited its people from revealing their faces. Doing so was often the Trollan equivalent of an engagement. Meanwhile, in He-Man's dimension or Eternia, Orko had to deal with his magical spells going wrong. As a wizard, he also had access to several items that he hid underneath his hat, which was once again enchanted to hold several things despite being small in size. Orko found himself in Eternia after he got transported there due to a cosmic storm. On his arrival, he came across a young Prince Adam in the tar swamp. Adam and his pet Cringer, who was a tiger cub back then, was stuck in the swamp and would have died if Orko had not saved them that day. But the situation ended with Orko losing his amulet and being stranded on Eternia, because without the amulet, he was unable to control his magic outside Trolla. Since he had saved the prince, the king was very pleased and made Orko his royal buffoon. Soon, Orko and Prince Adam became really good friends, and Orko even tried to help He-Man out in his fights against the enemies, or more specifically, Skeletor. But due to his magic malfunctioning, Orko often worried about not being of help to He-Man. For example, in the episode Disappearing Act, Orko tries to clean his room with his magic wand, but his spell goes wrong and the wand cleans his room by making the object it touches disappear. As Orko screams, Prince Adam goes to his room when the final disaster strikes. The wand touches Adam's sword of power, making the legendary weapon vanish. And without the sword, Prince Adam cannot turn into He-Man. The situation is worse than it seems because, at the same time, Skeletor plans to capture Prince Adam from the palace with the help of his invisibility helmet. Man-at-Arms enters the room and tells them about Skeletor's Doombuster being outside. But Adam cannot bring himself to confess the truth about him not having the sword at the moment. Soon, Skeletor captures Prince Adam as the villain removes his invisibility helmet. Oblivious to Adam's identity, Skeletor demands for He-Man to be sent to him as a ransom for the prince, who is then sent to the Banshee jungle. Orko has no choice left but to confess the truth to Duncan, or Man-at-Arms. Soon, they meet the Sorceress, who happens to know about Prince Adam being He-Man. She tells them that the spell has sent the sword to Eternia's past, so they will have to go back in time to retrieve it. Despite the risks, Orko and Cringer enter the time corridor conjured by the Sorceress. They successfully manage to find the sword with a giant and are soon chased out by gigantic creatures. Fortunately, Orko and Cringer manage to return. Meanwhile, Man-at-Arms creates a He-Man robot to give to Skeletor as ransom and to use as a decoy, since Adam has been imprisoned and cannot use his powers. The trick works out temporarily as Skeletor believes the robot to be the real He-Man when he sees it. In the cave where Prince Adam had been imprisoned, Orko squeezes his body through the dangerous, magical prison bars and hands Adam the sword of power. Soon, Adam turns into He-Man while Skeletor realizes that the other He-Man is nothing but a robot. The two enemies fight soon enough, but Skeletor uses his invisibility helmet to outwit and outfight He-Man. Finally, He-Man takes Orko's robe and puts it on the villain's invisible outline, making him easy to spot. He then gets his hands on the invisibility device and destroys it. In another episode called Demar the Demon, Orko uses a spell on a magic book to bring forth Demar the Demon, all because he needs a play buddy. In his defense, he has no idea that this is a creature who rules the dark dimension, mainly because Demar seems to be a cute and harmless creature in the book. Meanwhile, at the palace dinner table, spooky things begin to happen. The food gets knocked all across the room, and Man-at-Arms soon realizes that the mishap is being caused by magic. When he learns that Demar is missing from the magic book, he is quick to understand that Orko is behind this. It is also revealed that even though Demar is small now, he will soon go into a cocoon and return as a large and grown demon. Then, the demon will summon its army with the help of a pan-dimensional rift and conquer Eternia. Since the stakes are high, Adam and Man-at-Arms realize that they need to act immediately. A series of magical mishaps plague Eternia, and Skeletor learns that a strong magic is responsible for this. But Skeletor, being Skeletor, begins to look for the source just to have the magic for himself. Too bad the execution of his plan is going to be far from simple, since evil Lynn plans to find the power, but only to use it herself. After an exciting play session, Demar goes into his cocoon, while an oblivious Orko waits outside it, hoping for his friend to return and play with him soon. Demar's magic wreaks havoc across Eternia, prompting He-Man and Teela to seek out the Sorceress. They need her help to find out about Orko's whereabouts, but she seems to be in a fragile state due to the magic's interference. Meanwhile, Demar comes out of his cocoon as a full-grown demon and heads out to conquer Eternia. Skeletor and Evil Lynn reach him soon, as Skeletor is desperate to get his control over Demar and his powers. But Demar is not his friend and as such does not want anything to do with Skeletor. He-Man reaches the site of action while Demar tries to call his demons. As Skeletor tries to get Demar to submit to him, Orko comes to Demar and begins to talk about their memories of playing together. He-Man hears the demon out, who says it is his duty to destroy Eternia. So he is quick to spot something fundamentally wrong with the demon. He talks about Demar having the opportunity to change his destiny instead of going by some written rules or submitting to someone. Ultimately, this roundabout way to deal with such a situation ends up working out as Demar gives up on conquering Eternia and decides to choose his own destiny. By extension, Orko ends up making a new friend as well. In the episode known as Dawn of Dragoon, Orko plays around with his self-invented magic pyramid. It does not work as accurately as it should, causing man-at-arms to question Orko's magical abilities, especially when Orko tells him that he was renowned in Trolla as Orko the Great, a powerful magician. Soon, the pyramid glows and is replaced by a female Trollan called Driel. She is delighted to see Orko, who is indeed a renowned sorcerer in Trolla, and tells him a creature named Dragoon is threatening the place. Because of this, and also because of how pretty Orko finds Driel to be, he returns to Trolla with her. Meanwhile, Adam is worried that Orko will require his help since the problem seems to be quite severe, and so he goes to the sorceress and asks her to send him and Cringer to Trolla. He transforms himself into He-Man and Cringer into Battle Cat, and together they head to Trolla via a portal which will disappear at nightfall. So no matter what he does, he has to wrap up everything on time. Strangely, the portal causes the duo to turn back into Prince Adam and Cringer. When they reach Trolla, they realize that the dimension works in a way that is opposite to the law of physics in Eternia. The fishes fly like birds, trees hang upside down, Adam's fire rays shoot water, and the Sword of Power cannot turn him into He-Man. Meanwhile, Orko and Driel come across the humanoid creature Dragoon, and Orko proves himself to be a powerful wizard in his dimension. However, Dragoon traps the duo in a ring of fire that they cannot come out of. Soon, Adam finds them and uses his fire rays, which now shoot water, to put out the fire and save Orko. Driel is captured by Dragoon and he flies away with her. He-Man, Orko and Cringer follow Dragoon in pursuit when they come across a place full of captured Trollans. It is revealed that they are being used for their energy, and the drained energy is subsequently being sent to Skeletor by Dragoon. Soon, Driel falls victim to the procedure. On the other hand, Adam realizes that since everything is backwards in Trolla, he can transform into He-Man by chanting the magic words in reverse. The trick works out and he is able to fight Dragoon as He-Man. Following this, Orko enters Dragoon's lair to save the Trollans and more specifically, Driel. He-Man overpowers Dragoon, but ultimately decides to save him from falling into the bottomless hole of Trolla. He does this because he does not consider Dragoon to be his enemy, and this action causes Dragoon to question his allegiance and convictions. Ultimately, he chooses not to make an enemy out of He-Man. Meanwhile, Orko's magic is unable to save a now drained Driel. He is distraught, but He-Man points out how he is Trolla's most powerful wizard, and so Orko gets a boost of confidence and is ultimately able to bring Driel back. Once she wakes up, she is evidently very happy to see Orko again. The little wizard then saves the rest of the Trollans and even shows his face to Driel. In Trolla, this act is kind of like an engagement custom, and since the two Trollans have fallen in love with each other, it is only ideal for them to do so. Orko is also awestruck by Driel's beauty when he sees her. However, he chooses to go back to Eternia and help out Prince Adam in dealing with the threat posed by Skeletor. In the episode Orko's Missing Magic, his magical mishap causes him to lose his powers. While he tries to increase his magical power, a creature called Gronk causes a ruckus and knocks Orko over. Orko's magic is transferred into the creature, who also gets encased in the magic crystal Orko was using for his experiment. However, the crystal soon explodes. Orko is devastated after realizing that he has lost his magic, so Prince Adam takes him to the sorceress. She pinpoints that Gronk has absorbed his powers, so it is possible for him to get them back. The sorceress opens a gate to the world the Gronk has been transported to, but she warns them that the gate won't last long, and if the gate closes, they are likely to stay trapped in the other dimension forever. But if they succeed in their mission and get Gronk back, the sorceress will be able to restore Orko's powers. In the new world, they meet a pair of Siamese twins who confess that they have seen Gronk. But they also reveal that Gronk's arrival is causing great trouble for their world because the creature has fallen into the hands of the evil wizard Zonk. and now Zonk is using Gronk's powers to control their world. The twins summon a bubble that takes Orko, He-Man and Battlecat to the wizard's lair. They are able to infiltrate his lair and successfully spot Gronk. Soon, the evil wizard materializes and imprisons them with his magic. The magic is so strong that even He-Man's strength cannot do anything against it. However, Zonk now wants the powers from He-Man's sword as well. Zonk takes away the Sword of Power and He-Man asks him to hold it up. The sword soon emits energy beams that startle Zonk and he drops it. This weakens his imprisonment magic as well, and Orko and the others are freed. They take Gronk, fight off the wizard and go back to their world where Orko's magic is restored and he gets to go back to his shenanigans. Amazing story of Orko from She-Ra, the Princess of Power. He-Man's twin sister, Princess Adora, happens to be a superhero as well. Her sword turns her into the Princess of Power, and only a few people know this secret. Once again, Orko happens to be one of them. Orko and She-Ra visit the Great Rebellion when Orko's uncle Montorok sends a portal that catches Orko and She-Ra off guard. They try to evade it, not knowing what it is for, but the portal takes them back to Trolla. Orko is happy to reunite with his uncle, but it is soon revealed that not everything is fun and games in Trolla. Uncle Montorok tells Orko that the Crimson Council, a council of powerful wizards who keep Trolla running smoothly, has disappeared. Trolla needs Orko's magical powers to fight the problem, and She-Ra decides to accompany him. Orko hugs She-Ra when she says that, but the act is soon spotted by Dree-El, who gets jealous. She wants to know who She-Ra is and does not want Orko to go anywhere with her. And so, Dree-El joins them as they all go to the unfortress of the High Muk-Muk because she does not want to leave Orko with She-Ra. They meet the High Muk-Muk, but are soon attacked by the Terror Turtle, a technological turtle that is immune to magical attacks and shoots laser beams. She-Ra engages the turtle in a fight using her sword and muscles. She wins the fight and everyone is impressed. Soon, Orko looks at the device and realizes the evil Dr. Zoog is responsible for this creation. Meanwhile, Dr. Zoog and Big Uggo, who are two evil Trollans, spot what is going on via their technology and want to teach She-Ra a lesson. At the same time, Orko, She-Ra and Dree-El head towards the Flotsam prison in the Sing Song Sea, expecting to find the evil duo there because they seem to be responsible for getting rid of the Crimson Council. Orko, She-Ra and Dree-El infiltrate the prison, but are soon intercepted by Dr. Zoog and his electroid prison guards. She-Ra fights them off, and they soon find a Trollan prison guard who has been put behind the bars. With his magic, Orko frees him and learns about where the Crimson Council is being held. But before he can free them as well, Dr. Zoog returns with several other of his electronic goons. She-Ra gets back into the fight, but Dr. Zoog takes Dree-El hostage. The scene shifts to Dr. Zoog's room, where Dree-El is being held. He happily gloats about charging his rays with the power from the council members, who are also being held in the same space. Zoog wants to use the rays to get the High Muk-Muk out of Trolla, but Dree-El asserts that Orko will stop him. Zoog soon comes to the unfortress of the High Muk-Muk to attack him, but Orko and the others are there as well. Since Zoog's ship has a counter-magic shield, the Trollans cannot use their power against it, especially when Zoog tries to blow up the unfortress with his rays. However, She-Ra uses all her strength to move the unfortress from Zoog's line of sight. The trick works once, but Zoog's rays have a lot more power left in them, unlike She-Ra, who is exhausted. Uncle Montorok then asks Orko to connect with Dree-El, since Trollan magicians can do so when they are in love. Orko successfully makes a strong connection with Dree-El, and his image projects in front of her while she is in captivity. He gets her to use a spell to free herself to take down the counter-magic shield around Zoog's spaceship. Orko, She-Ra and Uncle Montorok then hop onto the spaceship. They defeat Zoog and his electroids. Finally, they save Dree-El and the council members and go on to be honored by the High Muk-Muk. Dree-El is also very happy when she finds out that Orko was able to connect to her because his love for her was very strong. Orko from 2002, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Orko reappears in the 2002 animated series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. His character here is very similar to his 80s counterpart. However, we do get more insight into how he came to know about Prince Adam's secret. While the original did not go into this, in the 2002 series, Orko and Cringer followed Prince Adam into Castle Grayskull, where they saw the prince turn into He-Man. Another difference lay in the fact that while Orko lost his amulet in the 80s series, he lost his magic wand while saving He-Man and the Cringer in this one. He also almost reveals the truth about Prince Adam's identity to Teela and the others, even though the sorceress had asked him not to do so. Fortunately, Man-at-Arms saved the day when he said that he had been informed of He-Man's coming by the sorceress. Other than that, Prince Adam's ancestor King Grayskull was also revealed to have a Trollan by his side. His Trollan pal was known as the Oracle, which kind of sounds like Orko as well. The Oracle sounded and looked similar to Orko, which meant that Orko was not the first Trollan in Eternia. In a separate He-Man comic by MV Creation, Orko tried to return home. However, he was brought to the crossroads when the Oracle asked him to choose between going back home and picking a map that signified playing a big role in the war that would save Eternia. Orko recognized the Oracle's handwriting as that of a Trollan and realized that choosing the map would be the right choice. With the help of the map, Orko found the magic wand he had lost after coming to Eternia. With his original magical abilities restored, Orko went on to find his place as Orko the Great in the royal court. Orko's mind-blowing story in Netflix's Masters of the Universe Revelation. Masters of the Universe Revelation is an animated series produced by Netflix. It is technically a sequel to the 1983 He-Man. However, it has several influences of the Masters of the Universe line that it draws inspiration from. Orko, as usual, is a wizard from Trolla. We have already spoken about the slight wordplay between the words Orko and Oracle. This is brought under the spotlight even more so than before, as we learn that Orko's parents named him after the Oracle. They wanted him to achieve greatness, which is why they named him so. However, his inability to pronounce the name properly led to him becoming Orko instead. He also did not become the gifted child he was supposed to be. From the get-go, his magic was weaker than the others. Everything he did ended in a disaster, and unfortunately, Orko felt glad that he was not going by the name Oracle anymore, because that way it would have been quite the irony, especially for his parents. In Eternia, Orko was present at the royal palace, and once again his magic was far from being efficient. Once during a fireworks ceremony, Cringer was cowering under the table. Orko had created a bubble to protect the tiger from the sound, but the bubble was running out of air. Orko tried to fix the problem and somehow made it worse when the bubble was made to be tighter. He wasn't even able to get rid of the bubble. Finally, Prince Adam burst it with a sharp object and Cringer was saved. Later, He-Man presumably perished in battle, which also revealed Prince Adam's secret to the others. Duncan was banished and Teela quit. Orko was left with nothing but his hero medal from having saved Prince Adam and Cringer a long time ago. What made it worse was the fact that Eternia was running out of magic. And as a Trollan, Orko needed magic for his sustenance. Naturally, his health began to get worse, and he took refuge with Duncan in a cottage. There, Duncan would often get some water from the magic mountains that remained in Eternia to help Orko. Later, Teela, her new partner Andra, and strangely enough, Beastman and Evil Lyn returned together to ask for Man-at-Arms' help. They wanted to find the two halves of the Sword of Power and forge them together. After some deliberation, Orko joined the search party. While they were in trouble as they sailed across the Crystal Sea, Man-at-Arms came to their aid and joined them. Then, Evil Lyn used her Havoc staff to gain access to the land of the dead. Here, Orko had to face his greatest fear in the form of an illusion. He witnessed his home dimension of Trolla and the Academy of Magic. However, the place was dry of magic. Even the spell spring, which was believed to be a source of never-ending magic for Trollans, was devoid of any magic at all. The Trollans were gone as well. Evil Lyn deduced that the loss of magic had spread beyond Eternia and had taken over the universe. This also meant that Orko was possibly the last Trollan, while everyone else had perished. They were soon attacked by a shadow beast, causing Orko and Evil Lyn to combine their remaining magical powers to win against the enemy. The group reunited after everyone was able to conquer their fears in the place of Subternia, but they were soon attacked by the Scareglow, the Subternian Lord, who the Eternians referred to as Hell. When everyone was jeopardized as Scareglow got stone tentacles to grab them by the leg, Orko used up a lot of his remaining magic to free his partners. He then used the remnant to stop Scareglow so that he could buy time for his friends to escape and reforge the Sword of Power. So basically, he sacrificed himself. What made this worse was the fact that He-Man's death would be undone because he was He-Man. Orko's wouldn't. To be fair, his death has been undone, but back then, the average audience was likely to believe that they would have to accept Orko's death. In a way, it left the emotional impact that it had intended to. Masters of the Universe Revelation also did not cater to a newer audience per se. Instead, they catered to the people who enjoyed He-Man in the 1980s. This meant that their target audience was from an older demographic, and as such, the show also had to be mature. This became prominent as we got to see how the stakes were higher, the emotions ran wilder, and the violence was more gruesome and rampant. With Orko's sacrifice, the fun-sized and accident-prone Trollan was gone, and with him, so was the childish spirit of the story.
With a lumbering terror, the Colossor towered over the city.
Orko the Great from Netflix's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Orko found another identity, this time more different than the previously mentioned ones in the Netflix-produced He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Before becoming Orko, he used to be a robot in Eternia, or its capital Eternos. In this world, robots were known as RK units. An attack caused one of Randor's drones to require repairs. Duncan looked into it as he fixed the drone at Castle Grayskull. The RK unit was then rebooted accidentally, causing the unit to download the memories of an ancient, powerful wizard known as Orko the Great. The unit began to identify as the wizard and took up the name Orko. As a robot, he did not look like the Orko we know and love. However, after the unit started to identify with the wizard, it began to sport wizardly attire. Now that he believed he was a wizard, he thought that the technological tools installed within him were his magical powers. For example, his repulsors allowed him to fly, but Orko thought that it was his innate ability to levitate as Orko the Great. At Randor's palace, the unit introduced himself as Orko. However, he was shocked when the guard spoke about Randor outlawing magician droids. In fact, the name Randor failed to ring a bell, and Orko wondered how long he had been in slumber. This was mainly because the robot truly thought that he was Orko, and it was not a case of it taking up a new flashy identity because it just happened to have new memories. Later, when Orko had to perform a magical feat to prove his status as a magician, he failed to do so, for he is no magician at all. Orko allied himself with the Masters of the Universe in their quest to stop Skeletor and his dark forces. He also learned that he was not the real Orko, but soon understood that he could be great even if he was not the esteemed wizard. During an adventure with the Masters of the Universe, Orko met the real Orko the Great, who helped him understand that even without magical powers and despite being a robot, he could use his own magic only if he believed in it. This turned out to be true as the RK unit did succeed with it. Just like his original counterparts, he too struggled with making a lot of magical mishaps. But in the end, he was able to become a flamboyant wizard in his own right.
I can feel it!
Times when Orko proved that he was a true hero. It does not matter how many accidents Orko has caused, or how many times Orko's own powers have become a liability for him. He comes through when it is needed and proves himself as a hero. In fact, his very introduction is heroic, as he saves the main character and his loyal pet. Even throughout the story, there have been several monumental instances when Orko has been the backbone of the team, be it emotionally or in terms of power. A great example would be when Skeletor created a ruse to make He-Man believe that the hero had killed a civilian. It caused He-Man's conviction to falter, and his belief in himself was destroyed because of tremendous guilt. As the most powerful man in the universe, he knew how he could be a great threat to people if he did not use his powers the right way. As a result, he gave up on being He-Man. However, Orko came to the rescue as he tried to get Adam to understand that whatever happened was an accident. He even revealed that it was a ruse created by Skeletor. Orko's ability to motivate his friends has helped out others as well, most notably Cringer. After Skeletor kidnapped Queen Marlena, Cringer blamed himself for it. He could have acted to stop it, but his cowardice prevented him from doing so. Later, Cringer was able to find the queen as he had picked up on her scent, but he was terrified beyond belief. To boost his confidence, Orko gave him a fake medal of bravery. Cringer was oblivious to the medal being worthless and felt a huge surge in his courage. As Trolla's most powerful magician, Orko's magic has come to the rescue even in Eternia. Once, Skeletor disguised Cobra Khan into a regular Eternian who waited in a long queue to see King Grandor. He wanted to use this opportunity to strike. However, Orko, being a wizard, would see through the ruse. So Skeletor robbed the Trollan of his magic. Without his magic, Orko had to go back to the mystical magic falls to regain his powers. When he returned, he had enough magic in him to uncover Cobra Khan's disguise and banish him from the castle. In another episode, a villain called the Toy Maker fools Orko when he gives the wizard 3 harmless little toys. The toys grow in size and kidnap Man-at-Arms, leaving the job to He-Man, Teela, Orko and Ram-Man to rescue him. However, they have to go through the Valley of Echoes, a place that puts people in a daze that leads to madness. With every hero dazed, Orko is able to snap out of it. He then puts magical earmuffs on everyone to protect them from the Valley of Echoes and the subsequent insanity. What makes Orko so powerful? Orko is the strongest wizard in Trolla, and his origins are quite ambiguous. This is because Trollan physiology is something that neither magical nor scientific standards can comprehend. Despite his magic not working in Eternia, Orko is still able to pull off complicated spells. Too bad the spells go wrong, but that rather proves the fact that the spells are powerful enough to go terribly wrong. His powers also do not follow any magical laws or the laws of physics. He can do just about anything. He just has to make his spells rhyme poetically. With Orko appearing in so many series for almost 40 years, fans of the franchise have travelled on this adventure with the wizard. We have gotten the opportunity to witness Orko grow from being a mischievous magician to a selfless sorcerer who sacrifices himself for his friends. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.